In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, which as of now and moving forward looks very, very cold. Today in Virginia, it's actually in the mid 40s. We were expected to be in the low 50s, but we're about 5 degrees colder than even expected. We're currently below our lowest average daily temperature of the entire year. So basically, with that being said, like we're below the January averages here in Virginia. And I'm sure a lot of folks are dealing with similar things. We are seeing heavy snowfall that we saw overnight. If you guys caught the Pittsburgh Steelers and Browns game, it was just pouring down snow. And we've seen a surprising amount for a lot of areas. With northern New Jersey is basically the only report I've heard in some of those mountainous areas. Upwards of a foot to even 2 feet of snow fell in some of those higher mountains. Absolutely crazy stuff. And we do expect more snowfall on the way with a potential major snowstorm. The GFS is kind of shying away from it to the south. I've talked about the southeast bias, and that might be what's going on because the European model does still show it, and it is quite major on the European model. So we have a little bit of a crossroads here. We're going to be dissecting it. There is other snowfall opportunities, and basically these models show from start to finish cold for the most part in the east. So let's dive into things and take a look here. As we take a look at this afternoon and evening, we do see that there is continued snowfall happening here across areas of Virginia, Kentucky, very small areas there in the mountains, West Virginia, Maryland, up through Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and into New York, where again, heavy accumulations have occurred in some areas. The reports that I'm hearing is that almost every single spot in here is basically overperformed as far as snowfall accumulation. I've gotten so many comments about, it's not going to accumulate at all this time of year. That has been so wrong in this situation. We have seen quick and substantial accumulations in these areas that have received snowfall. And if this is a sign of things to come throughout this year, we are in good hands for finally a cold and snowy winter, so we shall see. We do also see that there is a pretty substantial storm system moving onshore to the northwest, where we have rainfall in the obvious areas and snowfall in those obvious areas. So the mountains and more northern areas, snowfall, coastal and lower areas seeing rainfall. Should be obvious. As we keep going, I want to take us straight towards Saturday afternoon on November 23rd. We do see here snowfall and rainfall setting up for a lot of the west, California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington here, Idaho, Montana. We're seeing this spread out more. For our low near the northeast, it is very substantial, but we're basically seeing snowfall exclusively for Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine by this point as it's moving out. Now, this is the one time period in this entire model run that we're basically seeing a warm-up. It's going to last probably 1 or 2 days here. What we see by Sunday is that it is a little bit more mild. For Sunday here on the 24th, your jet stream has kind of spiked over the east. I suspect that it'll still be near normal temperatures to slightly above, perhaps, but still a bit warmer than what we're dealing with right now and what we're going to be dealing with after. For Monday on the 25th, we do see a low setting up near the Great Lakes, and this is bringing some upper Midwest snowfall. So we're going to be watching Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan for some potential snowfall to the northwest of this storm as we're kind of getting a trough going again where this cold air is moving eastward. We see a kind of moderate jet stream here in the west and then again a bit warmer to the east, but this is going to change in a big way. By Tuesday, again, only a 2-day warm-up, we see this next cooldown kind of move in. This one is not the most major in the world, but it is going to bring about more slightly below normal temperatures. We don't have as strong of a ridge in the west at this point, so I think that's why we're not seeing this cold intrude the south quite as much, but we are seeing a very, very decent amount of cold air moving into the east here. 991 over Canada here, bringing heavy Canadian snowfall and even some to the Great Lakes, some of New England as well. So that's something to watch for. As we move towards Wednesday, we do see that things kind of stay the same. We do see that low moves up and away. So we're seeing a little bit of U.S. snowfall in the Northeast or the Great Lakes, but not quite as much. We do have a little bit of storminess taking place across some of the west here, like California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Some of it obviously coming in the form of snowfall. As we move towards Thursday on Thanksgiving, this is when our snowstorm would be. Just the days following this, I should say. But again, this GFS model is not going to really show it in the way that we've seen. The European model is going to be much more on board with it. The one thing to note is that that ridge is getting a lot more healthy for the west. We're seeing it start to move up the coast. And this is helping this cold to start to intrude further to the south in the east as it's moving in. We have some energy here off to the east here. Some energy in there. And then we have some energy back here over the four corner states. And I think the problem here is that we're seeing these move in separately. We want to see these kind of come together and become one for anything super major. We'd want this to be meeting in the middle or something along those lines and moving up into the cold air. But what we see is that southeast part just kind of takes over for Thursday into Friday. And look at how far to the east it is, to the southeast. We see it way offshore. This obviously could happen. There is some broad low pressure much closer to the coast as well. But I should say, like I've been saying, the GFS model has this far southeast bias, and we very well could see the low a lot closer to the coast like the European model is showing. And that would have many of these areas below freezing in here. So that would bring potential snowfall again to West Virginia, Pennsylvania, even southern Pennsylvania, New York, New England, maybe even southern New England here. So definitely something to watch for. We see this cold air is moving in a big way for that Friday, the 29th, Saturday, the 30th time frame. So next weekend, basically, look at this cold air and snowfall. I'm an Ohio State fan. I think it's just a tremendous thought that we could have some snowfall going on. I wouldn't dare say that I wish it was in Michigan, but if we could get some snowfall down there in Ohio, that would be crazy for that, obviously, rivalry matchup. As we keep going, we see just, well, I guess I should just mention that, I mean, there is just tons of lake effect snowfall happening all around the lakes, and we do have this low near New England where we're seeing some snowfall in here as well. That's most of the action that we're seeing at this point. For Sunday on December 1st, it is still frigid across all of these areas. I don't know what NFL teams play at home, but, Pittsburgh maybe seeing some snowfall. We're seeing Detroit possibly seeing some mixed showers. Definitely something to watch for. I could even see Indianapolis getting some snow showers. They're pretty close in here. If we're seeing these types of conditions, maybe even Green Bay up there. I don't know if I think Green Bay's up in there. That's, they have an NFL team, but it's kind of hard to spot that spot. So it's interesting. And I mean, there is some stuff going on near New England. I don't know if they play at home. So a couple of areas to watch for potential snow games if this does occur for Sunday, December 1st. Let's take a look at Monday on December 2nd, and it's really the same thing. So I don't know who plays on Monday night. I guess I should also mention, I forgot this one, Buffalo, New York, obviously. Now, Tuesday, we see the cold still there. Lake effect snowfall still happening. We start to get this energy off to the south with brutal cold. Again, southeast bias. I would expect this storm to maybe set up in more of this area as opposed to where it is down here. But this, if it did occur, would be a potential southern slide or snowfall far to the south. And again, if I had a bias myself, I would want this to happen. I want snowfall in Virginia, so I would be begging for this to happen if I had a personal bias. But my experience tells me, no, the low is probably going to set up more to the north than what we're seeing here because it's the GFS, and these would be the areas to watch primarily in here for potential snowfall. Could be wrong, but that is what my experience tells me. And that goes against my personal bias, as I mentioned. It's also worth noting that it does move offshore. So again, that could happen further to the north here, whereas the GFS model has it way down here. That's what the southeast bias would basically mean. Thursday, the December 5th, we're looking at a very cold time across the East Coast, probably similar to today. 40s in areas that average in the 60s, 30s in the areas that average in the 50s, etc. This is just a huge bottled up area of warmth out west, and this is aiding in that cold just continuously moving into the east. We get a bit of an interesting snowstorm. I don't quite know if I've ever seen one move in like this, so take it with a grain of salt, but it shoots just southward from the Hudson Bay directly into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. So just watch this play out. I mean, I think this might be a glitch on the model with how quickly it moves down, and that direction is very odd. To see it just kind of slide directly to the south. I mean, anything's possible, but that would bring some interesting snowfall for sure. And more cold air for Saturday the 7th. And then finally on Sunday the 8th, it looks like maybe this model wants to show another warm-up here in the east briefly. But we have that positive PNA still set up on this model here. And this cold air looks to be sliding in behind everything. So we could be going in for more, 15 days from now. This is going to be a very cold period. Very, very long term as well. So soak it in, cold and snow lovers. As we take a look at the European model, same thing obviously for right now. As we keep going though, we do get this brief warm-up followed by a cold front. This would be coming in the form of precipitation, obviously. So we see Tuesday, Wednesday, it moves through there with the low overhead over the Great Lakes. Now, as we keep going, we get cold air after that. Again, this is kind of that marginally cold air. And then here's where this snowstorm starts to slide down. Here's Thursday. Notice that this piece of energy back to the west continues to be the primary area of low pressure. We don't see this one form here. We really just see it slide across. So this is much more in terms of the worst case scenario. It doesn't form to the east. It kind of just continues along. We see the cold air moving in. This is by 1 a.m. Thanksgiving night, basically. This is going to be for Black Friday on November 29th. So we see this decent little low here between North Carolina and Virginia. Snowfall right here. Note that this is well southeast of what or to the northwest of where the GFS model places it. Over the following hours, we see by 7 a.m. here on Friday, heavy snowfall develops in similar areas that are seeing it for this current storm: West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. A lot of you in here that were telling me this was impossible, I'm sure after what happened yesterday into today, are not feeling like it's impossible anymore. We do see it's down to a 995, a much stronger storm, and again, much further to the northwest. Now, as we continue on towards the afternoon hour, 1 p.m., we see this becomes like a southern New England special almost. We see northeastern PA, northern New Jersey, southern New York, and then down through Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and even southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, getting heavy snowfall from this system. And then it moves up into Maine. We get that same lake effect snowfall Saturday here on the 30th. Again, a little bit more widespread for Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, which typically they do spread pretty far inland like this, so I wouldn't be surprised. As we move towards Sunday at about 1 p.m. when the NFL games would be starting, again, Cleveland back in there. Perhaps Detroit near some snow showers. Green Bay wouldn't be too far off. Buffalo in there. We are seeing areas potentially seeing snowfall. Maybe even, areas like for the Jets and Giants, we could be seeing something. So very interesting with this hugely cold air mass here we have by Sunday, December 1st. Look at this positive PNA. This is textbook. I love to see this because it's just beautiful to me. Positive PNA, vertical. It's very vertical over the west. And we get this very vertical cold down over the eastern states. Look at this. It's absolutely brutal. We're going to look at the temperature anomalies in a minute, but that is hugely cold, probably below freezing for a lot of the deeper south areas there Sunday, December 1st. Here's Monday, December 2nd, a lot of the same. Tuesday, December 3rd, Wednesday, December 4th, and it's crazy how similar this looks to the GFS model, how they're like uncannily the same, basically. Thursday, the 5th, again, another brief warm-up, just like what we're going to see in a couple of days here. So these areas are briefly a little bit mild. Not super warm, I wouldn't say, but mild. And then we get another cold front moving down quickly in a hurry. Again, frontal boundary there. Brutal cold air moving back in for more. It's not done yet. Lake effect snow starts to get going again over the Great Lakes. And we have not the same vertical, very beautiful positive PNA we had a minute ago, but we do see a positive PNA of sorts here regardless. Now, as we take a look at the total precipitation here, again, I've said this over and over and over again, the Northwest does get plenty of precipitation. It's still below normal for them, so we will see that in a moment here. Southwest seeing a little bit more above normal precipitation. Maybe the Great Lakes into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast seeing above average. But we're kind of dangerously close to seeing a below average pattern set up again for these areas. I'm watching that closely, mostly due to the fact that we just saw some precipitation move through, so we got rid of that, and there's just less expected upcoming. So let's look at the anomalies, and yeah, look at that. Little bleak here. This is not looking good. Below average for these areas that really shouldn't be below average. They do not need it. Below average in the Northwest again. Above average in the Southwest. This does not look like a La Nina at all. This looks like plenty of storms moving through the Southwest, and really the Northwest getting, for the most part, shut down. And we even get quite a bit of precipitation, some of the most above average in the East for this kind of southern area. This is very El Nino-like. So, again, neutral ENSO is prevailing, which is the much colder and snowier option for this upcoming winter than a La Nina would be. So fingers crossed for that for cold and snow lovers. Total snowfall in the GFS model, Mountainous West gets plenty, a little underwhelming for the Rockies, as we've been saying, also the Cascades, but Sierra Nevada getting the most. Again, very un-La Nina-like. As we take a look towards the east, we do see plenty of lake effect snowfall and even some snowfall happening in these areas, but that snowstorm does not come together on this particular model. When we look at the European model, though, we do see a little bit of an increased amount for some of these areas here, where this particular model shows that snowstorm still hitting. So that is definitely something to watch for. This lake effect snowfall is substantial. Feet of snowfall, 1 to 2 feet for a lot of these Great Lakes. If this whole model run verifies, which it would take a lot for it to entirely verify, but definitely some of this is likely with a lot of cold air moving through. When we look at the accumulated positive snow depth, again, we still get inches up to 6 to 10 in some of these purple areas. Pinks even 10 to 20. So this is likely what would actually accumulate. I will say, though, this actually underdid this current storm. When we were looking at this particular map, it actually was a lot closer to the Kuchera ratio, which is what I use, which early in the season is very untypical. So that is highly unusual. But if this next storm follows suit, we could expect more than what this is showing. But if everything kind of goes as the model is predicting, this is what would actually be accumulated on the ground. Let's take a look at the temperature anomalies. Again, that is kind of the bigger story here than the snow even, is this severe cold. And we have it overhead right now, as you can see, for Friday, November 22nd on today. As we keep going, though, we see this brief warm-up here for Monday, Tuesday there, but we cool back down. Again, marginally cold, near normal. We see some areas, 1, 2, 3 degrees above normal, some 1, 2, 3 below, some more above, but it's very close to normal, much colder than it has been over the past few weeks. As we look, though, we see for Friday the 29th, we get a major Arctic intrusion there with another more major one behind it. Saturday the 30th here, but look at what's behind it. Brutal cooldown for Sunday, December 1st, Monday, December 2nd, Tuesday, December 3rd, into the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I mean, straight through the end of the model run here. We do have this warmer air slowly but surely trying to move in, though. So that could get interesting. I want to look at the European model's temperature anomalies as well. Again, cooldown, brief warm-up, another cooldown. This is the major one, and it's a lot more major on this European model, I should say, because the greens are 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Those kind of purplish blues are 15 to 25 degrees below normal. And magentas are 25 to 35 degrees below normal. This is for Saturday, the 30th. As we take a look at Sunday on the 1st, it's a lot of the same. Monday on the 2nd, it's a lot of the same. Tuesday on the 3rd, it's a lot of the same. Wednesday, Thursday, we finally get this brief warm-up after a very cold period. But here's that next cooldown moving in for Saturday, the 7th on this model. And again, what makes it all possible is this warm air mass here. It would be even better if it was actually expanded further to the north. We'd probably get an even deeper cooldown. But regardless, this forces the cold air basically to the east, as we see time and time again, especially through this previous pattern that we're in. So with all that being said, we're going to continue to track this, but the consensus here is straight up cold basically through the end of the model runs here, and potential snowfall on a couple of occasions. So we're going to be watching this very closely. Be sure to tune in with us. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for those daily videos. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.